Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Experience Creators. My name is Carolene. I'm your host. If we have not met yet, welcome. And today we are talking about the experience of the sneaker world, an area of the retail industry that has such strong culture and experience attached to it. And today I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing and speaking with Brittney Perry, who is the founder of the incredible, amazing sneaker brand PerryCo out of Chicago, USA. Brittney is a lifelong sneakerhead and launched her brand in 2018 after continually facing a market saturated by sneakers made for men by men. She wanted to offer a sneaker to the world that was more inclusive, and Brittney really has the mission to continue to create timeless, genderless sneakers that can appeal to all styles, cultures, and identities. This was such an incredible experience to dive into and learn more about through the eyes of somebody who has had a love and passion for sneakers ever since she could remember. So without further ado, let's dive into this incredible interview with Brittney Perry, founder of PerryCo Shoes. Brittney, welcome to the Experience Creators. I'm so excited to have you. As I spoke to you off camera, I was mentioning that I really wanted to dive a little bit into retail and talk about an experience around retail and especially part of retail that really already has this incredible and beautiful experience and culture around it, which is sneakers. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to the Experience Creators.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, and look, let's get to know you a little bit. People have had a brief introduction, but tell us who you are, Brittney, and tell us all about PerryCo.
Yeah, so I'm originally from USA. So I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's kind of like one of the mid-sized cities in the US. We don't really have a ton of sneaker boutiques or anything. We didn't really have any when I was growing up. So we would just go to like the regular footwear stores to get shoes. And, a lot of times we were wearing the same sneakers that everybody else had. So there was no feeling unique type thing. But growing up in, I guess the 2005-ish, 2000, I guess I'm telling my age now. But when I was in high school, I would wear a lot of men's shoes because women didn't have as many options growing up. And I guess the assumption was that women weren't into sneakers, or if they were into sneakers, then they had to be pink or they had to be very girly looking. And I definitely was a tomboy growing up. So I played basketball. I had an older brother that was into sneakers as well. So maybe he rubbed off on me a little bit as to getting into sneakers and collecting sneakers. So that was one of the reasons why my brand is unisex, because when I was growing up feeling excluded because a lot of the shoes were for men, I didn't want anyone to feel excluded. So in 2018, I established my brand, PerryCo Shoes, here in Chicago. And I wanted it to be a versatile sneaker. So it's more of like a lifestyle casual sneaker that you can wear to work or you can wear it for anything. And it's minimal, but it looks good and it's comfortable. So, it doesn't matter if you're at work or if you're going out, then you can wear it and still look good.
I love that. And I was looking at the website before our interview, and the colors are just, I was mentioning to you, they're very on brand for my personal brand itself, with really beautiful neutral colors. And that's the first thing that kind of drew me into PerryCo and why I really connected already, especially from that sneaker level, because, when I think of sneakers, I think of like bright, loud colors, about 5 different colors on the one shoe. And
yeah,
I really like that minimalistic approach as well. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I was like, oh, this brand is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed the neutral colors too, because like I was saying, people always assume, oh, the girls want the really bright, girly colors, but I really like the neutral colors, the earth tones, like the tans, the salmon pinks. So I'm glad you noticed that. That was good.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think of versatility and the idea of wearing these shoes kind of everywhere, like you said, to work, to, casual occasions, you want to make sure that, for me anyway, like I'm such a neutral palette with all of my clothing. So I tend to gravitate towards that. And then you can kind of wear them wherever and dress them up and down. And yeah, that's what I love about that
Absolutely.
kind of palette. So in creating your own brand, you said that you didn't really, the market really wasn't there. There wasn't many girls sneakers at all. And if they were, like you mentioned, they were kind of one stereotypical style. And so when you started your brand, what was the first thing that you did? Like, what were the first thoughts in your head? Like, okay, my experience, the experience of PerryCo needs to be different. And where do I begin? Like, how did you get that ball rolling?
Yeah, it was a very back and forth process mentally because I was just like, who starts a sneaker, you know? It's just, there's no guide on how to do it because it's not something that's commonly done. So I was just like, I don't even know where to start. How much does it cost? So a lot of it was researching online, like other people that have their own brands and reaching out to people via social media and not getting responses, which is what
Yes.
happened. But but I think if you're passionate about something, you always find a way to figure out, you know, what to do. It's kind of like you're thrown into the fire and you just figure things out as you go. So I would say that was a lot of my process because I didn't go to school for fashion necessarily. I went to school for business marketing. So it's just kind of navigating that space and figuring out how to do certain things. I did, when I was creating the sneaker, look at other brands that I liked. Like when I was growing up, I enjoyed wearing, an Air Force One, but then I was also influenced by like the European brands like ETQ Amsterdam and Filling Pieces. And I think the European style is a little more of, I guess, influence or what I was influenced by with creating it because it's more minimal and clean. Whereas US is a little more streetwear, a little more athletic type shoes. So I was like, I really like this European style. It's more me, it's more clean and minimal. And now a lot of people are doing it in the US. So I was like, So I looked at some other brands for influence. And then I kind of thought long term, like, okay, when you're looking at brands, you don't want to be a brand that kind of follows trends because trends only last,
Right.
a year or two. I wanted to be a brand that was a longevity brand. I wanted to make my first sneaker a classic shoe that was minimal and that everyone can wear it. And 10 years from now, it would still be in style. So that's kind of how I approached creating that first sneaker.
I love that, and I know exactly what you mean in terms of the European styles as opposed to the US. I'm European. I'm based in Europe, so I can already, as you were saying that, I was already picturing like different experiences that I've had in shoe stores here and clothing stores here compared to that of Australia where I grew up, and then also the States as well. So yeah, there is such a big difference in the experience of both those kind of style, and it's so cool that you picked up on that and you're really bringing that to life like in your own way. So I love that. Okay, the world of sneakers, in my opinion, it's highly creative. When I think about sneakerheads, when I think about the sneaker culture, I don't just think of shoes. I actually think of like artists, and I think of things like graffiti, like painting, like sketching, music, like skateboarding, sports. Like there's so many different elements to the world of sneakers that I think of, and really where I find it to be very unique compared to other retail items. You don't think about that for like a jacket or,
Yeah.
a pair of jeans necessarily, to some extent you do. So because the world of sneakers is so highly creative, I think, like what describe for you, since you're sneakerhead from as early as you can remember, what is your most ideal magical kind of sneaker experience? What does that entail for you?
Oh, I think the one thing that really set off my sneakerhead euphoria
Right.
was I was into like getting Jordans. So Jordan, Nike Air Jordans are like the most popular shoe, but they're very common. And the one thing that I was telling you, like when I was growing up, everybody usually had to go to the same stores and they would wear the same shoes. So I was like, I'm kind of tired of looking like everybody else.
Right.
And one of my friends introduced me to this skateboard shop in the suburbs. So it was maybe like 20 minutes from where we lived at. And I was like, I don't skateboard, so I'm not usually going to the skateboard stores. But he was like, no, no, just come on. Like, I just want to show you this. But when I show you it, you can't tell anyone like where it's at, because I don't want anybody to have the same stuff we have. I was like, okay, I swear I won't tell. So we went in the skateboard shop, and it was like all of these shoes that I've never seen before. So it was like SB Dunks, Nike Blazers, Janoskis. So these are shoes that you wouldn't know about them unless you're into like skate culture.
Okay.
But it like blew my mind. I was like, I've never seen these types of shoes before. Nobody has them. They're cheaper than Jordan, so I can, buy more pairs of them. And they look really, really good. So like, I think from then on out, I only wore those shoes from the skateboard shop, and I stopped wearing my Jordans. And then people are like, where did you get those? And that kind of like, I don't know. There's something unique about me, because like, oh, the girl, the tall girl that always wears, sneakers, and she always has the cool sneakers that no one else can find. Because so I think that was one experience, just, the experience of going somewhere where people don't know about and having unique shoes that other people don't wear. I think that's something that excites people and keeps them coming back for more sneakers and getting them excited for new releases.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love that. And especially like you said, even with yours, having those very minimalistic styles in terms of even branding, where you don't even, maybe at first glance, you don't even know what the brand is, but that's almost what to me makes it magical, right? Because it starts a conversation. If you see someone wearing Nikes or Nikes, it's very obvious the style of shoe that they're wearing. Whereas if you're even PerryCo's, you're like, oh, well, what's that brand? And that begins that conversation. So again, that's another reason why I think creativity in the sneaker world is just so, I'm so fascinated by it, because of that reason. There's so many different ways that shoes can be interpreted. And like for you, it almost became part of your identity, right? Like that was,
Yeah, I did.
known as the girl with those particular sneakers. So, oh, I love that. Okay, as a shoe designer, as someone with a sneaker brand, what do you see? What are people looking for? So when they're coming across PerryCo's, your style of shoe, or sneakers in general, like what do you find that people are after straight away? Whether it's a stylistic thing, whether it's maybe a feature or an overall look, like what are those elements that people really are drawn to in a sneaker, and they think, okay, this is the kind of experience that I want to have as I'm buying these sneakers?
I would say the one thing that kind of stands out about the brand is, like you said, the colorways are more neutral. Um, but some of the colors that I've released haven't been popular colorways like that you would see often. So like I did a denim sneaker.
Okay.
I think Jordan has started to do more denim sneakers with Levi's, but I did it a few years ago, so I was first, and then doing like the salmon pink. So it's not your usual pink that you would see, an olive green sneaker. So I just try to do different colorways that still stick to like my brand identity. And I always put out stuff that I would wear. Like if I wouldn't wear it, then I probably wouldn't release it. But I still try to listen to other people's opinions and get feedback on what they would like to see. But I think the colors is the one thing that kind of sticks out that people are looking for when they're shopping for a shoe.
Right.
Also comfort, of course. Is the shoe comfortable? And then stylistically, how the shoe looks. And you're like, oh, this is a really nice shoe. It doesn't look like, the typical minimal sneakers. It has some variation between leather and suede, whereas most minimal sneakers are just usually all leather.
Okay.
So that's one thing I just wanted to, make the shoe look different, because it is minimal, but I still want different elements of it that make our brand stand out, where you would know like, hey, this is PerryCo and not another shoe. Where there's a lot of shoes that kind of look the same if you really pay attention.
Right. Yeah. And I love that you are striving for kind of that brand identity without a big branded logo straight across your shoe, right? Like, Nikes, Adidas, Adidas, one of my favorite sneakers is Onitsuka Tigers, and it's from Asics. So, they're very obvious, like it's very obvious from further away that's what they are. So yeah, I love that element of knowing the PerryCo shoe from like afar, from those different elements, and not because you have like a huge like PerryCo across the side. So I think that's a beautiful way to really look at branding.
Yeah.
What else, like from your customers' point of view, like what else have you learned through having conversations with your customers? Like you touched on a couple of things, but is there anything else that you haven't mentioned yet that maybe something that they brought up that you didn't even think of and you were like, oh wow, okay, I never thought of that, let me consider that in my next kind of shoe design? Was there anything else that springs to mind?
Yeah, some people were like, do you want the logo to be, like you just said, do you want the logo to be appearing more on the sneaker? Because this like logo is on the inside of the shoe, so like on the insole, and it's on the tongue, but it's not something that's necessarily really visible unless you get really close. So they were like, well, do you want to, put it on like the back of the heel or make it bigger so more people know who it is or what it is? And I was like, I would consider it,
Right.
but I have considered creating another logo. So maybe like a symbol. So you know how Nike has the check and Adidas has the three stripes. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. It's something that I've been considering to make some type of symbol. It might not be all over the shoe, but maybe something small where it's like, okay, if you see this symbol, then you know that that's PerryCo.
Right.
So that's something that I definitely have been considering. But I know I definitely want to keep like the zigzag pattern of my shoe around the upper. So that's one thing that pretty much stands out about the brand. So I might try to keep that incorporated in most of my designs.
Right. And I mean, we've touched on so many elements in regards to PerryCo, but when you think, when people first come across PerryCo, like what do you want their experience to be like? How do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel euphoria like I felt when I was going in there. But no, it's hard because I like my background story of, obviously growing up and why I made the sneaker. It's created by a woman, which is very rare. I don't think there's many women sneaker designers out there that have their own brands. So those are some of the things that I think kind of influence and make people excited to purchase and support the brand. However, you can't exactly tell your story when the shoe is just, at the store. They don't know the background information unless they're like truly looking it up. So outside of that, I just want them to actually look at the shoe and see that, oh, this looks different than other shoes. And it kind of gives you like that unique feeling like, oh, I know no one else is going to have these sneakers. So I'm going to obviously stand out and I'm going to feel unique and I'm going to feel comfortable and cool wearing the shoes. So that's one feeling. Those are a few feelings that I hope people get. And if they know my background story, then I hope they feel even better that they supported someone that started this from absolutely nothing and no experience. So I always appreciate all the support that I've gotten so far, for sure.
That's an incredible achievement when you think about it, like going from growing up and just being fascinated with sneakers and being a sneakerhead yourself to now like you own your own brand, and it's sometimes it's, owning your own brand is one thing, but having a sneaker, having a shoe, like a physical product, that is a quite complicated process, I think is an incredible achievement. And I love that you touched on those feelings like euphoria. You want people to feel like they own something that nobody else had. You want them to learn a little bit about your story and feel proud that they're supporting, a female business. And when I'm working with clients, a lot of the times when I'm helping them improve the experiences that they offer, the first question I always ask is, how do you want them to feel once they're finished? And so it's so cool to hear those kind of those emotive words come out of you, and that you really want the PerryCo experience to be about. And I love that euphoria, like being proud. I love that. It's a beautiful way to kind of think of your brand. and to explain the experience of your brands, you know, which is a huge part of why we're doing what we're doing in terms of the experiences that we're creating. I want to ask one final question, and anyone that is watching already knows the question, but I want to ask you, what elements make up an incredible experience in your own words, in your own mind?
Does it matter what type of experience, or is it just in general?
You can answer it however you choose to answer it. Everyone answers it completely different. So in your mind, what elements, when you have an incredible experience, what are those elements that really made that happen?
For me, if it's fun, like if I'm having fun doing it, or if I'm excited about the experience and while I'm doing it, I'm having fun, I think that's the key element for me, is because I just like to have fun. I'm a goofy person.
Right.
And those things always stick in my mind with an experience. So you always remember, like, do you remember this time, like where we did this?
Right.
And how you felt when you were going through the experience. So like how I felt going into the sneaker store, like I was so excited and so happy to be there. So obviously you're having fun doing it, you're happy while doing it. I think those are like the true things, and having the euphoria go through your mind. It's like a high. I think those things stick out to me, and they make me want more. Like I want to do it again. I want more shoes. Like let's do this again type thing, because it was so much fun.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, again, you brought up that word euphoria, right? Fun. Like you've already mentioned those words numerous times in the question. So that's what I love to see, how we can link your story, your brand, your expertise into what elements make a really incredible experience. And there's always links. And so, you know, that was so beautiful how that came straight up, and you jumped straight to euphoria and fun. And one of the, you know, when I think about PerryCo, from the stylistic point of view, from the design, from you and your story, and kind of how you share that with the world, everything seems very intentional. And I think that's one thing that makes it very unique and very beautiful. And so I mean, I consider PerryCo to be an experience as well. So yeah, that's why.
Oh, I love that. I love how you just pay so much attention to detail, and it makes me happy to know that, okay, because it makes you nervous, like, will people understand, you know, the meaning behind when I make this post or why I'm doing what I'm doing. So to hear someone else from viewing the website and viewing the Instagram, and you understood that, then that's really good.
Where can people find PerryCo? How can they get in touch with you, or have a look at what you guys have to offer?
You can purchase online. So we're mostly e-commerce for right now. So on www.perrycoshoes.com. We'll also be available on Macy's.com. So Macy's, I think they're international, but starting in May, they'll be available on Macy's.com as well. So it's trying to expand, especially getting international, because I know the shipping for international is pricey. So definitely trying to have some ground set internationally, so I can get more products out to you guys without the high cost of shipping. For sure.
Yeah, and for those listening, also the PerryCo Instagram account is really beautifully done, and it really shows off the shoes in a really beautiful way. So definitely check that out as well. Brittney, I want to say a huge thank you for coming on the Experience Creators. Like I said at the beginning, I was so excited to speak with you and talk about experiences in a way that we haven't done so yet, and that's in the world of sneakers. And so hopefully those of you listening had a really great new insights, and maybe think about your own shoe collection in a different way now. So Brittney, thank you so much. And above all, thank you for being an incredible experience creator yourself with the sneakers that you create through PerryCo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Experience Creators. If you liked the video, if you found it valuable, inspiring, and you now have some new tools at your disposal to help bring the experience that you offer to life, make sure to like the video down below. Also, make sure that you subscribe and turn on your post notifications so that you are made aware the next time an expert graces the Experience Creator stage. Don't forget, everyone, that one great experience has the potential to change someone's world.